Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Monday Q&As. And right up front, I'm going to just do something because someone asked if I would take my glasses off in one of the questions. I'm going to do that up front so that I don't waste one of these questions, because there were so many good ones that I saw at least 5 or 6 that I wanted to answer but didn't have room for them. So I didn't want to waste spot with this, so let's take these off. And that's what I look like without my glasses. Solid 10 out of 10, baby. Alright, first question. Is there proven ways to speeding up your metabolism? Honestly, to affect it very much, outside of drugs, gaining muscle is really the only thing you can do. There are a lot of things you can do to increase TDEE, to increase total energy turnover, a thermic effect, all of that, but it's not really your actual base metabolic rate. That's all basically ways of burning more calories outside of your base metabolic rate. And even people who slowly ramp up carbs actually just causes them to be more active. And so therefore they burn more energy on the output side. So honestly, all you can do is gain muscle, and all the other stuff that people talk about for boosting metabolism have very small effects. We're talking maybe 5%, 10% at the most, either direction, up or down. So it's not really worth worrying about. What I would say, gaining muscle is number one. And then obviously just keeping your activity level higher, because if you're training at a high frequency, squatting at a high frequency, doing cardio regularly, things like that, your overall energy intake is going to be much higher than if you were to able to find something to boost your base metabolic rate just a little bit. You're going to get a lot more out of that anyway. So for practical purposes, focus on expending more energy through methods outside of your basic metabolic rate, just through your activity. And staying as active as possible. And trying to hold on to muscle mass. Don't be cutting all the time. So that's pretty much all you can do. And then as far as drugs go, I don't want to cover all of that. That stuff's all easy to find as far as what drugs will increase your metabolism. And a lot of those, of course, have medical uses for it. If you have a slow metabolism medically, that is generally fixable with medications. Same medications that people use to speed it up who don't have metabolic issues. That's what they're designed for. Alright, next question. Hey Jason, when following your advice on recomposition, how do calories from alcohol affect the refeed? That is a very good question. Actually, we normally say things like, well, the body's preferred fuel source is glucose, and if there's enough glucose available, like blood sugar available in your bloodstream, your body will burn that preferentially over everything else. It'll burn it over protein, it will burn it over fat, because that's your body's preferred fuel source. But the truth is, alcohol is actually a higher priority. So if you're taking in your ethanol alcohol that you're drinking for whatever reason on a refeed, your body is going to burn it as a preferential fuel source, and it will tend to store some of your carbohydrates, which isn't a bad thing because you're refeeding to replenish glycogen stores. So what I would do is just count the alcohol that you drink on your refeeds as just random arbitrary calories, because your body is going to tend to burn them as a fuel source first anyways. Just log them into your total calories. And remember, they're going to have a high thermic effect though. So if you're already refeeding and you want to go out and you want to do some drinking on your refeed night, just be prepared for some extra sweating, because your thermic effect is already going to be really high from the high carb overfeeding, and then you throw alcohol in the mix, which has an even higher thermic effect. Make sure you bring clothing that you can breathe in and be cool in. Alright, next question. What progression scheme would you use for the accessory movements like arms, delts, traps? I usually see routines that advocate generic 3x10. Should one go by feel since it's already exhausted, or grind it to progress from previous sessions? You know what? I tend to feel that even on a strictly structured program, let's say like my intermediate program, your accessory work needs to be auto-regulated session to session. I don't like pre-programmed cookie cutter accessory work for people. It needs to be assessed session to session, week to week, based upon your personal needs, how you're feeling, how you're recovering. And in fact, there are sessions you might want to completely skip all your accessory work. I don't think 3x10 is a bad starting point for most of your accessory lifts, because a lot of your accessory movements, you're doing them to build extra muscle in certain spots to address muscular weaknesses. So that's not a bad way to go, even on something like my intermediate strength program. But if you have sport-specific need that you're adding an accessory in because you needed to add extra speed and power to a given function that you're doing, then you might need to drop the reps down a lot lower. So it really needs to be assessed based upon what you are specifically using that accessory to achieve. But if you're using it just to put some extra meat somewhere, 3x8, 3x10, I would say actually 3 sets of anywhere between 6 to 10 reps is usually a good starting point for that. But again, you've got to be aware of what function you're trying to use it for. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 2.